Hi guys, how we all doing? This is our second video of the year. This video goes with your writing a thesis notes, which is 1B in your Unit 1 packets. Without further ado, here we go. Alright, what is a thesis statement? What is a thesis statement? Well, put it mildly, a thesis statement is an argument that answers each part of a question and tells a reader why that is the case. That's the first thing that it is. So we're going to get an essay question, which is usually an opinion question, and your thesis statement is going to be your answer to that opinion question. And then you're also going to explain in that statement why you think that's your answer. It's a roadmap for your paper. Sorry, my magic eraser is working delightfully today. All right, so it's going to tell the reader what to expect in the essay before they even read it. So give them some sense of what is coming, okay? Again, it's going to directly answer the essay question. So if the essay question is who's the greatest basketball player of all time, I want you to talk about who the greatest basketball player of all time is, not about grapefruits, okay? It's going to make a claim that others might dispute. It's an opinion question, guys. It's an opinion statement. Again, if we're talking about our basketball player example, you're going to have people who would say LeBron James. You're going to have people who would say Michael Jordan. And you're going to have people who actually know basketball history and might talk about some of the players who actually are the greatest, like Wilt Chamberlain or Jerry West or some of those older guys. So it's a claim that others might dispute. Remember, these are opinion statements. There's no wrong answer. And it's a single sentence, usually at the end of your first paragraph, that presents your argument to a reader. Now, if you're still writing, before we go any farther, you can pause the video here. All right, keys to a strong thesis, guys. Keys to a strong thesis. The essay question is going to be answered clearly. Again, back to our basketball players thing. I'm answering very clearly who I think the greatest basketball player is. I'm not skipping around. I'm not talking about baseball or whatever. I'm answering the question. It's going to take a position that others might challenge or oppose. There are many possible answers. Some people might answer differently. That is okay. When we ask you an essay question, an argumentative essay, which we're going to do in history class, and we're going to talk about those next class, but when we ask you an essay, the thesis statement is the backbone to that essay, okay? There are lots of possible answers you could go with, but your thesis statement has to be strong. The statement is very specific, okay? And again, I'm pause the video here for a second so you to finish writing. A couple of ways to know that you've written a strong thesis statement. The essay that you write after it is going to support the thesis without wandering. We'll come back to that next class when we talk about writing an essay. The other thing is that it passes the how and what test. And what those are is a reader clearly understands what you are arguing and how you are arguing it. So again, when we go back to our basketball player analogy, we know what I'm arguing. I'm arguing that LeBron James is the greatest basketball player of all time. And how I'm going to argue it is I'm going to talk about how he actually acknowledges that he has teammates, unlike, someone else. So, or among other things, other reasons possibly, that he's a physical freak that can actually play defense, whereas Jordan couldn't. Okay, so a how and what test. When I read that thesis statement, when you read my one sentence at the end of that paragraph, you're going to know what I'm arguing and how I'm arguing it. Basic structure of a thesis, you're going to have two parts. The first part is the statement that's going to restate and then clearly answer the question. You have to assume, guys, this is a big key here. You have to assume the reader does not know the essay question. So our first part, we're going to restate it. The greatest basketball player of all time is, that's restating a question. The second part we call a method statement. And what that is it lists the reasons you're going to use to defend your answer. Okay? Another way that you could think about it is, if you do this, you've got your answer question. And this is just for explanation here, so we can answer your question. Magic ink. Okay? And then 1, 2, 3 reasons. Okay, so that's reason 1, reason 2, reason 3. Or however many reasons you have. But think of it Mr. Grimslin heard this described very well as chicken legs and chicken feet. And if you guys don't know what chicken feet are, you haven't lived. I'm sorry. All right, so we've got these two parts. The first part where you're answering the question while restating it a bit. And then the second part is you listing the reasons that you're going to use to defend your answer. All right, so for a little bit of practice, we're going to do an essay question here. What is the best movie that you have ever seen? I want you to take a minute, think about what you think the best movie is. Once you have finally decided that, go ahead and write that down in the spot on your sheet. After that, I want you to think of 2 or 3 reasons why you think it's the best movie. And then I want you to go ahead and write a full thesis statement. Combine the what's the best movie with your reasons and write 1 sentence. We're going to pause the video now so you can go ahead and do that. Now that we're back, hopefully we saw a couple of good ones. Here's an example that I came up with because this is one of the ones I think is the best movies of all time. The best movie I have ever seen is The Gladiator because of the character development, Russell Crowe's performance, and the constant action. So the first part here is where I restate and answer the question. And then the second part here are my reasons. Character development, Russell Crowe's awesomeness, and constant action. So those are my reasons. Real simple. But again, this is very specific. It answers the question and gives specific reasons. That's why it's a good thesis statement. Okay, guys, something to remember. In an argumentative essay, there's no wrong answer, so long as you can defend your answer. This is the most important thing I need you to remember that when we are writing these thesis statements as part of these essays. I'm evaluating your knowledge here, not on you answering a question right or wrong, but because you know the material well enough to make a decision and then defend it. Again, it's a higher level of learning and knowledge that is required to answer an essay. Thesis statements are the backbones of the essays. That's why we're taking some time to do them. All right, we're going to take a minute. We're going to throw up on the board on the regular projector. What are some things that you think might be the greatest of all time? Some categories where you think there is a greatest of all time. So like greatest athlete, greatest writer, where we think we have, you could make that argument or that debate. So we're going to pause the video for a sec. We're going to do this on the other flip chart on the board. All right, now that we're back, what I want you to do is I want you to pick one thing from that greatest of all time. What is the best blank? One greatest of all time. From that list that we just came up with, and I want you to do that. So we're going to pick a topic from the previous list. I want you to think what the best blank is. All of these blanks are whatever topic you pick, okay? When you've decided, go ahead and write it down. Come up with your 2 to 3 reasons you can use as support for your claim, and then list them. Use the framework to write a good thesis statement. And then one person from each group is going to briefly present. So go ahead, do the thesis statement on your own, and then share with your group what you guys all did. Remember, there's no wrong answers. We're just looking for structure here. And then we're going to pick one person from around the room to share. So we're going to pause the video while you guys write yours. Go. All right, now that we're done with that, the last thing you guys need to remember here is the rest of the essay. Just a quick preview of what structure is going to look like. A good argumentative essay. And this is a general argumentative essay. We'll go into some specific ones for history next class. You're going to have an intro paragraph that hooks the reader's attention and ends with the thesis. So your intro paragraph is going to have, we're going to catch the reader, we're going to draw them into it, and we're going to have our thesis statement. And then you're going to have body paragraphs defending the thesis, one for each piece of the method statement. So if I list 4 reasons to defend my answer in the thesis statement, I'm going to have 4 body paragraphs. If I have 2 reasons, I'm going to have 2 body paragraphs. And then we have a closing paragraph, which usually is going to open by restating the thesis and then generalizes and ends with some food for thought for the reader to walk off with. That part we'll get to some other day. For now, it's restating the thesis. Guys, this is a simple name. This is known as 5-paragraph essay format. Intro paragraph, then bodies, then closing. Now, it can be used as a 3-paragraph. It can be used as an 8-paragraph. The number of body paragraphs is determined by how detailed and how in-depth your thesis is. But this is basic format for essays that will get you all the way through college anytime you have to write an argumentative essay. Okay? And that's it for this video, guys.